Hi guys, just a few more terms that we're going to go over. These are some things to be on the lookout for when you are analyzing your poems. The first term we're going to talk about today is assonance, and it is similar to alliteration. So alliteration is the repetition of similar consonant sounds at the beginning of words that are in close proximity. Assonance is the repetition of similar vowel sounds in poetry. Let's look at an example. It says, "And so all the night tide I lie down by the side of my darling, my life and my bride." On a first read, you probably don't hear much, so let me exaggerate the vowels for you. "And so all the night tide I lie down by the side of my darling, my life and my bride." You probably hear an I sound. And this again is Edgar Allan Poe from the poem Annabel Lee. So in this little snippet from a poem here, you definitely hear this I sound created by the vowel I, but also the vowel Y, because again, it has more to do with the sound than the actual letter. Internal rhyme is another term. So it has more to do with rhyme within the same line of poetry as opposed to rhyme on the end of the line. So this one says, "My river runs to thee, blue sea will welcome me." So look at the second line here. We've got sea rhyming with me, and it's in that same line. Parallelism is the repetition of words, phrases, or sentences that have the same grammatical structure or state a similar idea. All of these things being parallel here. So let's look at an example. It says, "I am the fire upon the hearth. I am the light of the good sun. I am the heat that warms the earth, which else were colder than the stone." So if you look at this first three lines, you'll see that each line starts with I am, followed by the, and then an object, the fire, the light, the heat. And then those objects are followed up with a prepositional phrase, upon the hearth of the good sun that warms the earth. So all of these three sentences have the same grammatical structure. Repetition is the return of a word, phrase, or stanza for effect. This one says, "The woods are lovely, dark and deep, but I have promises to keep, and miles to go before I sleep, and miles to go before I sleep." So these last two lines are repeated. So if the poet simply said, "and miles to go before I sleep," we'd be like, okay, you only have a few miles to go. But when he says, "and miles to go before I sleep, and miles to go before I sleep," that repetition of that line shows us that this person has a lot of miles to go before he goes to sleep. It definitely emphasizes that effect. And last, we're going to talk about sonnet. A sonnet is a 14-line lyric poem in iambic pentameter. So what that means is the poem must have 14 lines. It must be about thoughts and feelings, and it must be an iambic pentameter. It must have 10 syllables per line. Shakespeare was famous for writing sonnets. He wrote tons of them. Okay, in a Shakespearean sonnet, there are 3 4-line stanzas called quatrains, equaling 12 lines, and then it ends with a summary couplet. Let's look at one. It says, "When 40 winters shall besiege thy brow, and dig deep trenches in thy beauty's field, thy youth's proud livery so gazed on now, will be a tattered weed of small worth held. Then being asked where all thy beauty lies, where all the treasure of thy lusty days, to say within thine own deep sunken eyes, were an all-eating shame and thriftless praise. How much more praise deserve thy beauty's use, if thou could answer this fair child of mine shall sum my count, and make thy old excuse, proving his beauty by succession thine." So this first quatrain is saying, when you're 40 years old, when 40 winters besiege thy brow, and dig deep trenches in thy beauty's field. So when you're 40 and you've got deep trenches or deep wrinkles in your beauty's field, in your face, your youth's proud livery so gazed on now, so the beauty of your youth will be a tattered weed of small worth held. So the beauty of your youth won't be worth anything. Then being asked where all thy beauty lies, so if anybody asks you where your beauty went, it says, "Where all the treasure of thy lusty days, to say within thine own deep sunken eyes, were an all-eating shame and thriftless praise." So if somebody asks you where your beauty went, if you said it was in your facial features or the looks you had of your youth, that is a waste. So it says, "How much more praise deserve thy beauty's use, if thou could answer this fair child of mine." So if somebody asks you, where your beauty is, say it's within your children. And it says, "This will make your blood run warm when thou feelest cold." So, the beauty that you have in your children will make you feel young again. Okay, so we've got 3 quatrains here equaling 12 lines, and then it ends in a summary couplet down here. And I know that these little things kind of covered up here. There's not much I can do about that. A sonnet is very, very structured. It has to have 14 lines. It will have 10 syllables per line. So let's look at that. "When 40 winters shall besiege thy brow," 10 syllables. and dig deep trenches in thy beauty's field. 10 syllables. Thy youth proud livery so gazed on now. 10 syllables. Will be a tattered weed of small worth held. And it continues from there. Okay, 14 lines, 10 syllables per line, and it's about thoughts and feelings. So that is a sonnet, people. All right, so again, be looking for these as we move through our poetry unit, and we will use these in class. Have a great day.